First Amendment in public schools. We were asked to answer the question, how are limitations of students' rights an illustration of the First Amendment in U.S. public schools? My solution to this would be schools should restrict rights and make it clearly stated. Schools in the Code of Conduct for OCPS at least, have not specifically told us the exact things that we are restricted from. That's why we should make sure that whenever a rule is made, it should be clearly stated what are the limitations so we can't find loopholes through it. Specifically, why do schools restrict things? Schools restrict us because they want to shape the behavior of our country's incoming adults, meaning that they want to shape us for our future jobs in college and how we could be in future, because we have to respect laws that are given to us. Also, in order to quote unquote protect us in schools and to have order and organization inside the schools. That's why we have all these restrictions on us, all these restrictions placed on us. 50.7 million students go to school each day in the U.S. That's a huge number of students that we have to make sure that they're organized and going through school and then leaving school with no problems. The First Amendment. It basically states that we should have freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly. Yeah, we should have freedom of speech, religion, press, and assembly. These are given to us by the Constitution, and we got this information from the stimulus given to us by Mr. Beard. In the first court case, Tinker versus Des Moines, that I used, in this case, it was about these kids who wanted to show their support for the truce in the Vietnam War. They brought these, they had a plan to bring these black armbands, but the principal of Des Moines heard about this plan and went with the school board to try to restrict these things. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court case is unconstitutional. And this was a case given to us by Mr. Beard in our stimulus. In that court case, Justice Potter Stewart said, children are not necessarily granted the full extent of the First Amendment. This is a very confusing topic because this was based on his opinion, not based on what the First Amendment tells us. This brings me to time, place, and manner. Time, place, and manner limits the limits that governments can impose on the occasion, location, and type of individual expression in some circumstances. This was also given us in our stimulus. Basically what that means is time, when you say something, place, where you say this something, and then manner, basically the something, what you say. These are things that if in school, if you're in a class, you're talking to a teacher, you don't want to be swearing at the teacher, or cussing him out, or telling all these bad things about the school, or about areas that you shouldn't be saying all this stuff. Because we aren't granted the full extent of the First Amendment in public schools, based on Justice Potter Stewart. In this court case, Morris versus Frederick, the principal of Juneau Douglas High School, Principal Morris, was against Frederick, who, during a school-supervised event, put up a poster saying "Bong hits for Jesus." This was an important court case because when brought up to the Supreme Court, they said that his punishment was unconstitutional, but they said that schools are allowed to prohibit these types of sayings of drugs or unschoolful things. One way to fix this problem is schools should restrict the rights, and it must be clearly stated in any form of code of conduct. Any type of signature that you've signed for school must be told correctly. If you've seen in our school code of conduct, you can see that in most of the sections that they don't clearly state what are things you can or can't do. And what questions do you have?
All right, 2 questions for you. First up, What information did you need but you weren't able to find or locate?
Oh, I couldn't find any stats that could help me find like court cases against schools that I could find that could help me in my research. I asked people for information that they could find that could help me in my research, but I couldn't find anything like that.
And next question. Explain the level of certainty you have about your conclusion, solution, or recommendation.
I fully support my conclusion about how we should, schools should, if it's mandatory, they must regulate our restrictions, but they have to state it clearly. If they're not stated clearly, there's so many loopholes in our code of conduct that we could go through, but it has to be clearly stated what we can and can't do.
You are done. Breathe.